up, guys? Welcome back to Double Take Productions here at Double Take Cast. We have a different podcast today, a different guest, a different dynamic, but proud and happy. We have an awesome guest today. His name is Salas. Credentialed in many ways, so I want to go ahead and share that. Certified hypnotherapist, certified clinical hypnotherapist, certified transpersonal hypnotherapist, licensed faith specialist, and international association, part of the International Association of Interpersonal Hypnotherapists. He's a member of that. And bro, it's an honor. Reason why I was very interested in putting you on, first and foremost, is because I was watching your content. I think it started on Facebook, because that's usually where you get old friends, either from middle school or high school. And that's when you start seeing people either doing whatever it is that they're doing, and you usually see it from there. And then I added you on Instagram immediately and saw your content there too. There's a lot of content, and mainly the focus content that we were seeing there has a lot to do with helping a lot of people in different ways through hypnotherapy. Again, I'm going to be learning as we go today, but I have a lot of questions for you, but I'm excited, so welcome, brother.
Thank you for having me, man. It's honestly a pleasure. When you added me the first time, I immediately recalled, and I was like, oh, man, it's Richard. So it was just good to connect with you. And when you reached out that you wanted to do the podcast, I was like, yeah, man, let's do it.
Heck yeah, dude. Well, again, it's an honor. I know that we've been trying to plan it out, to be honest, to be completely transparent with you guys. This is on me, I think since November, ending of November. But complications, holidays, and stuff like that. So I appreciate your time in spending it with me. And I know that you have things to do probably, and I don't want to, especially on a Sunday. So thank you, bro. I appreciate it.
Man, thank you, man. And yeah, you're right. Since prior November, we were trying to connect, and it fell into place at the perfect time. So again, thank you for having me.
There you go. Hell yeah, bro. All right. Well, nothing. I just wanted to kind of start off, share a little bit about yourself. Just like everybody from middle school or high school, if I don't have you in my clique, I forget everything, right? And obviously people go through growth, and everybody has their background. So, yeah, where are you from? Where'd you grow up? Because I know that I met you here in Miami, but you're not here anymore. So, go ahead.
Yeah, man. So, grew up in Miami, particularly West Miami. Went to West Miami Middle School, went to South Miami High School. Yeah, just typical Miami upbringing, Latino parents. So they were we're first generation here in the States. I was actually the only one that was born here out of my whole family here in the States. So yeah, it's a privilege in and of itself just to be able to maybe start this new lineage of American citizens for my family, and kind of just expand that and see where that goes. Yeah, my upbringing was man, I had a blessed childhood, honestly, blessed childhood. I can't really complain. Moving a bit forward, high school was a great time for me. I think everybody goes through these different changes in high school, right? Like we don't really know who we are. Maybe we're looking for our own group of friends, and
it's a bit of a blur sometimes.
Seeking approval or seeking acceptance from different types of people. And so I think high school is just an interesting period to see how we develop in that.
Yeah.
Looking back now, I hope everybody would think this, but just two completely distinct individuals, being 17, 18, and to where I'm at now, it's just two completely different people. And yeah, I actually recall something now that you mentioned high school. Now that I'm doing what I'm doing now, I actually recall thinking to myself, 15, 16, I'm like, when I grow up, I want to do something that I absolutely love, right? That's something that makes me happy. And at that time, right, this idea of doing something that makes you happy is it's a really far-fetched idea, because we're kind of taught, find something that's going to make you money, which is, that's not a bad thing. You want to be stable, you want to be financially stable.
Correct.
Yet there's always almost rebellious thing in me that was I really want something that is going to bring me fulfillment. And hopefully this allows me to make a living off of it. And so now that I'm doing this now, it's those ideas that I had 15, 16 are now coming into fruition, which is honestly just incredible in and of itself.
That's beautiful, dude. Bro, that's fire, because I feel during that time period, again, a lot of people are kind of going through that phase of like, okay, what am I gonna do? Some people, which good within itself, I guess not in a long term way, but in a short term way, we're living a lot in the present, and I think that that's a cool thing, because it is still important to live in the present, kind of be aware of, dude, I'm in high school, I need to live these moments, whether it's good or bad. They're experiences that are molding me. While some of us, and I think I associate myself with you in that sense, that once I reached sophomore, I think junior year, dude, I was like, okay, what am I gonna do, right? Like, what is it that I want to do? Because I started reaching that same sense of like, bro, like, I want to do something that I like doing. And in my case, which is why I'm so into production now with photography and stuff like that, is because I saw myself. I was labeled as a class clown a lot, so I would always be making jokes. I would always just try to grab the attention of anyone the best way that I could. And then obviously as those things progressed and that became consistent, yeah, that obviously became a thing where I was like, hey, maybe it's not maybe that I'm just funny, maybe I'm just actually good at this. So I relate to that a lot, because it's like, now I want to see if I can actually make money off of this, right?
Correct.
And not necessarily for the chase of the money, but exactly because usually a lot of people have a hard time maybe going to school, and they're like, oh, I need to go for something that's going to be stable, but not necessarily something that's getting me happy. But in my case, I'm pretty happy already with what I found. Now I just got to make stability out of what I found happy. And I kind of like that dynamic a bit better. But that's awesome. So you answered my first question, because I kind of have a little template here of the questions I have. I put how was life growing up in Miami, and my next question after that was what made you head out to Kissimmee. I don't know if that was a choice of yours personally, or just situation of life that just it was better over there.
Yeah. So situation, circumstances. My grandmother passed off almost 5 months ago,
Wow.
and when she passed,
Sorry for your loss.
yeah, thank you. And when she passed, it like my grandpa was here living in the house alone. So my parents bought a house here in Kissimmee, and my grandpa was living here alone. She passed, and we immediately got the call. So I came here to Kissimmee, and it was almost like an effortless transition. It was like, okay, well, my parents. I also help manage like one of their cosmetic stores, so they have one here in Kissimmee as well. So I'll go every now and then and just check things out, make sure things are flowing. So it was just cool to have that choice, almost in a sense, right?
Okay, yeah.
To be able to kind of decide, all right, do I stay in Miami? Do I stay here in Kissimmee? And then this was even before any of this happened. And then obviously my grandmother passed, and I thought, well, I've always been trying to find a way out of Miami,
Okay.
right? Just always trying to find maybe like a different scene, a different landscape, and the way through which the opportunity presented itself was obviously unfavorable. Yet that's the way that it happened, and so
Correct.
decided to come out here, and ever since, like it's honestly been like it's been the best thing that's happened to me thus far.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow, that is bittersweet. And again, obviously my condolences. I know that was pretty recent, so sorry that question had to bring that up. But I'm glad that you can see blessings and positivity out of that, because it definitely set up itself in a way where, obviously because of the loss, you were able to find some sort of path or route that obviously provided you a different viewing of life, and obviously a different route that, who knows, this is probably your acceleration right now. You're just on the track. So that's awesome.
Yeah, that's honestly genuinely what it feels like.
Yeah.
Interestingly enough, one of the things she told me like 2 weeks before she passed, she was like, in the next few months, like your life is going to change.
Wow.
And we're in those next few months, and my life has completely changed. So it's almost like she was very religious. So she
Okay.
had like these obviously like these religious perspectives, but she was also someone who believed a lot in what she understood and what she felt. And I
Okay.
think like she had this conviction, that's the word.
Yeah.
She had this conviction about what she said and what she meant and how she saw things. And so every time that she would say something, we pay attention. So
Exactly. Yeah. Oh wow.
it was almost like, for me to be in this moment now, it's like, yeah, my life has completely changed for sure, for the better. It's a blessing in disguise, absolutely.
That is beautiful. Wow. Well, awesome. That is interesting. I personally have been wanting to. I think I've lived in Miami too long already. Not that I have lived the lifestyle of Miami completely, because I know that that's a whole nother subject. But I know that there's poverty, there's medium type of living, and then there's luxury. I would say I've been blessed growing up to live in a medium, lifestyle, where I don't take anything for granted, but I am also very grateful of just everything that I've been and that I've had. But I think I've had enough of Miami, to be completely honest with you. That's why the scope is, have I told you earlier before even we started, it was Texas. That's one of the states definitely that is in the scope. But yeah, Miami is that's a different podcast. That's a different episode. That's different in general.
we can go down a rabbit hole on that one.
Yeah. But anyways, to continue, I have obviously questions here that pertain obviously more to what you're known for, in particular to your career. And I want to dive deep in there because I know this is something that is first and foremost your expertise, and maybe something that I can even get out of this myself and people watching. I hope that this gets more eyes, to be honest, because when I see your content, I'm like, I feel that there needs to be more eyes on something like this. Because it's definitely, how can I even say it? It's definitely an overshadowed subject where sometimes people are kind of scared to get out of the light from.
Mm.
And they're like, hey, this is what's happening, or this is what's going on. And you kind of, you pretty much just kind of shine the light. You're like, I got you. Hold up. Come here. So that's pretty cool. I personally love that. So yeah, my next question is, when did this type of subject interest you? Was this a recent thing, or is this something that was a long time coming?
Right. That's a great question, first and foremost. I think, and I can speak for most people who have some sort of niche or have some sort of expertise, they've had experiences in that.
Yeah.
They've learned, they've grown in that, and decide, okay, let me see if I can offer some help. Let me see if I can offer some guidance in that. So for me, and this is maybe going to get a bit personal, but for me, my sex life when I was 18, 19, 20 was not didn't meet the expectations I had of sex. And so kind of this is what I tell men.
Okay.
The expectations that we have of sex are what we see online. If you've never had sex in your life, and we live in a day and age where all the information is out there, kids are seeing porn 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 years old, 13, and just on and on and on before they even have an actual sexual encounter, before they even get to recognize or even acknowledge their own body parts.
Correct.
And so the default mode that we have of what sex looks like is porn. That's just
Correct.
what we model ourselves after. And man is monkey see, monkey do. We have mirror neurons, so this allows us to just copy paste whatever we see people do.
Yeah.
Especially when it comes to something as intimate and as vulnerable and as sensual as sex.
Yeah.
Right? So my experience was really, really, really bad, and it got to the point where the person I was with was even like, all right, either you get better or I'm finding someone else.
Oh wow.
So that right there was and interestingly enough, and I think I can speak for a lot of men, we don't realize how bad it is until your partner tells you something about it.
Yeah, honestly.
Right? And this is anything. For example, you're in a relationship and you may not realize that it's extremely toxic until somebody outside tells you, hey, are you noticing the way this person talks to you or the way this person treats you?
Yeah.
Is that normal? Or even your job, right? Maybe you're just so focused in on your job, you're so honed in on your job, but somebody tells you hey, are you taking care of yourself? Are you taking care of your mental health? Are you taking care of your physical
health? A third party perspective is always kind of the wake up call, and it sucks, but It's very true. Yeah.
It's what it is, right? You're so immersed in what you're doing. I mean, it's not necessarily your fault because that's just how we are, especially when it's something that we're involved with, especially when there's an emotional attachment to it.
Yeah.
So being in that situation that I found myself in, I was like, okay, I gotta do something about it. And so I started reading up about meditation, started reading up about breath work, started reading up about plant medicine, and then in the midst of all of that, I found one of the most prominent sexual teachers, and he's a tantra, or no, he's a Taoist teacher, Montauk Chi. I'm not sure if you've heard of him.
No, I
Um,
haven't. Okay.
yeah, he's very, very prominent in the world of Taoist techniques, which is all about transmuting your sexual energy and using it to heal yourself and also just to heal your relationships and just to better your sexual relationships. So
Yeah.
was diving deep into those topics, understanding a little bit more about tantra and those type of techniques and semen retention and all these practices, and that just drew my attention completely. And so at the same time, when I was doing all of these things, started learning a little bit more about hypnotherapy. And from what I was told, which I have not opposing views now, but I think it's just a broader perspective as to what it really means.
Okay.
I was told that, if you want to start a business, you want to make sure it's a niche. You want to make sure it's something specific. And so I thought to myself,
Yeah.
okay, let's work on this. Like, why not? And what I was seeing on the market wasn't necessarily. I mean, there's so many different people talking
Yeah.
about porn addiction. I just think that the approach to it is very like masculine. It's very like willpower, determination, motivation thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
When I
Which
think
could be a benefit within itself, but
absolutely.
I think the way that you're going about it is definitely a way where people could be like, okay, yeah, I have that determination or I have that will, but I think that could be a road, but you kind of need the vehicle to get through that road.
Exactly.
And this is where the vehicle's at. So yeah, my bad. Go ahead.
Yeah, and I agree with that, and I also agree to disagree because in some
Okay.
sense, like using pure determination or willpower for most people that just does not exist. Like somebody tries to quit social media. Use your willpower to quit social media. I really want to see you and how long you can go with pure sheer willpower to quit social media. Or just another great example, New Year's just passed. We're a week into the new year. How many people have stuck to the New Year's resolution that they made? Right? Using pure willpower and determination, which is to me, it's almost just like
Yeah.
it's another like catchphrase to kind of just suck people into this like idea that we have this mental strength, and some people do. Like some people do have that capacity. Most people, unfortunately, just don't. And so I try to open people's eyes, like, hey, maybe making the change in your life or maybe sustaining something in your life does need determination, willpower. But like you say, right, you maybe want like some more tools in that tool bag that allows you to just sustain this habit without so much effort, without so much strenuous like force, right?
Exactly.
Maybe you can transition into that with ease. Just something I try to present.
Wow. I think that's probably the best way to put it because literally just to add on to that sheer will thing, my thing, what I was kind of getting to in terms of the example I was telling you when I was in high school, my whole thing, and unfortunately it has a bad rep, I'm already out of it, but I learned a lot from it, and it was network marketing. That was the bad rep that a lot of people, unfortunately, which I get it, it was a lot of, hey, I'm talking to you, I want to sell you something. And in that sense, I always had kind of that battle where it's like, dude, I am trying to sell you something, but I'm genuinely trying to share something with you. Point is, it never went that way. But one of the things that I did learn, which is why I share that mentality with you, is the sheer will and the power and the determination that you have definitely it's like diesel instead of regular gas.
Mm.
But again, where are you putting that, right? It's like, there's no way, again, for most people, we can't, because I know that, like we said, there's very few people that really just do have that ability, but for a very short amount of moment in my life, I did do it that way. And the bad thing that came about doing only sheer will or determination was that if nothing came about it, the burnout, or I guess what was it, not getting the result from all that power that you put, that determination, once you see that you don't have it, it's like,
Discouraging.
now it's not even like you lower a level, it's you go back to like zero, and you're like, now I gotta ramp it up again.
Yeah, it's discouraging for sure. Discouraging for sure.
Yeah, so I relate to that, and you kind of answered, two of my questions, because I guess to hop back onto that, because my next question was there any experiences that launched the urge to pursue this type of career? Obviously, you answered that. And thank you, obviously, for sharing that. I know that it may have been personal, but I think it tells your character very well, and I think it's something that, everybody has to have a reason why to start something.
Oh,
yeah. And I think it makes your career more interesting.
And to add a little bit on top of that, like, man, it's happened to the best of us, right? Like, and that's kind of what I just want to share. Like, hey, look, I'm okay sharing my story, because I know, and not even if everybody went through that experience, but I just know so many men have experienced that. Like, has every time that you've been with someone been the most satisfying, the most gratifying experience? Have you had bad experiences that almost like make you anxious or nervous to whenever you're about to be intimate with somebody? Or, even the first time that I was exposed to like pornography, I was like 8 years old. Like what does that do to the mind of a child, the nervous system of a child? It's extremely detrimental. And so I know that men have also experienced that as well. And there's really not that much support. To kind of share like very, very quickly, I've had men who tell me like, hey, I've been to like a urologist, I've been to like a sex therapy, I've been to couples therapy, and it almost seems like they just tell me like, oh, it's all in your head. Like just like just like, hey, you'll get over it.
Very dismissive.
Exactly. And that, again, it's almost discouraging. Imagine using that mentality and telling someone like, hey, your problem is a problem, but it's not like that big of a problem, when to them it's huge.
Yeah, it's their whole thing. Yeah.
So I think, man, just sharing more about my personal experience, and again, hearing the experiences of men almost validates kind of what I'm sharing, right? And what I have to say.
Yeah, no, I could even hop in. I mean, I could personally tell you and admit, yeah, bro, I've had, partners in my life, up to the point where I'm at now with my partner, my fiance. And I could proudly say, I think the difference between my past partners and the fiance that I have now, it's like, there is definitely a sense of confidence that was gained throughout the process, right? Same thing goes for her, because me and her share personal situations about that. And I think that that's one thing that has helped me a lot, is between me and her, we communicate so well with everything. And I think that communication is what made things so transparent, to the point where I'm like, dude, like, it's okay if I'm messing this up, or if I'm feeling this way, and vice versa. Because back then, dude, I could tell you, I've had an experience one time where it was like, everything's rushed, everything's at the moment, and being that rushed, dude, I mean, I'm sure that you're just like, nothing is getting up, for sure. Nothing's getting up. My heart rate is going fast, but the blood is not pumping to where it needs to pump. And it's, it's everywhere else, and you're there overthinking, and then obviously the anxiety starts to build in. And after the anxiety, because of that bad performance, now you have a sense of depression. Maybe not as deep as, I shouldn't use the word depression, but a very depressive state where you're just like, damn.
Pensive, like, overthinking, like, man, how did that happen? Is it going to happen again?
Not even to get into like a religious way, but like, it is it's definitely an energy transfer between people. And it's like, you got to make sure that this transfer is like, that if you're doing this, you realize that this is a transfer that's like, it's taking a lot out of you. like you're putting yourself into somebody, not even in a literal way, just in a real like energetic, I guess spiritual type of way, because it's like it's insane. This type of connection only happens in a certain amount of time, especially for men. And I think 70% of my audience is male, so this is definitely gonna hit a good spot. So that's it's insane. I know that definitely what you're doing is probably, it is niche, but it's so needed. It's so needed because a lot of people go through that. Just to hop in terms of porn and stuff like that, because I did have another question. Let me see where. Oh, okay. Well, I put, what do you think causes the divide in masturbation, right? Because I don't know what your view is. Obviously, tell me, what is it? But in my case, I told you I have a long distance relationship, so I'll share my experience and you tell me, and don't be afraid to tell me, even if we disagree. But in my case, I have a long distance relationship. I do not watch porn. Ever since I got in a relationship with my girl, don't get me wrong. In a short period of time that we were together, since I knew it was long distance, I was like, I'm just gonna watch porn. Yeah. Because I have needs and stuff. But once we kind of communicated that, she made it very clear, hey, look, this is not something I'm comfortable with. Cool. Immediately from that point on, I don't even know how long it's been. I don't think it's been a year, but it's been a while. And yeah, I have no desire to watch it or anything like that. But there's still masturbation involved in my lifestyle. Obviously because there's a limit of sex that we do. But yeah, dude, I mean, I don't know what's your approach on that. Obviously not involving porn, but masturbation is still very active in the life. I don't know what you think about that.
Yeah, I mean, if it were up to me, right? If it were up to me and I can just give one point of advice, it would say, hey man, if you can find a way to develop healthy self-pleasuring practices, i.e. masturbation, and you can find a way to healthily do that without needing the super stimulus of porn, correct? Yeah. Go for it. Nice. Go for it. And just make sure that you're doing so in a sense that's like, kind of what I tell my clients. It's like, all right, you want to masturbate? Fine. Take your time. Take your time. Like when you start rushing things, and again, just to kind of be graphic in some sense. Yeah. The idea of like how we grew up masturbating was like just very quickly, very, very quickly, get it done as quickly as possible. And I'm over, my mom didn't catch me, my brother didn't catch me, like nobody saw me, cool, great. Wow. Delete my history, delete my browser, all right, we're all good, right? Wow, yeah. This is the exact opposite of what you want to do. Correct. See, we create that when we're younger, and so we bring that to our adult life, and then we have terrible sex lives, and then you wonder like, oh, why don't I last longer? Well, maybe because when you were younger, all you did was masturbate as quickly as possible, and then your body cannot tell the difference between masturbating and having sex with somebody like in real life, so it's going to recreate the same thing. Correct. Point being, if you're going to masturbate, just do so in a healthy manner that doesn't involve like the huge stimulus, right? And I can already imagine like the long distance, right? Like that in of itself is extremely difficult. It's great that you're not using porn. It's great that you guys can communicate about it, right? First and foremost, like even communicating about your experiences, as you mentioned before, like, hey, I don't even feel as anxious as before, and there's a certain level of confidence because I'm able to communicate things. That is one of the pillars of having a successful relationship, not even a sex life, just relationship in general. In general, if you guys can communicate things and there's like a fluidity of conversation to where you guys understand each other and you guys listen to each other, you bring that into the bedroom, it's like time slows down. Like, dude, even just communicating, and I'm reminded of somebody in particular, even just communicating in general does something to our body, does something to our nervous system. It's like somebody putting a hand on you and saying like, hey, very nourishing, very, very comforting. Nourishing. That's the word. It's very, very nourishing. It's very nurturing. Yeah. And so when it comes to time for us to be intimate, oh man, it's like, again, time slows down, you're relaxed, you're focusing on other things other than just like, okay, what position do I do now? Like how much, how
Yeah.
fast do I have to be? And that's a whole nother thing that to go into. But yeah, just to answer the question, if there's a the only division I have with masturbation again is when we use it with porn
Okay.
and again not just like porn we watch online, but just anything that just too much stimulus, like it's just not really good for us. So as long as you can develop something that's healthy
Yeah.
and something that allows you to kind of just like really take care of yourself, man, I'm all for it.
Bro, that's perfect. Funny enough, and it's so funny because I went to church today, and right after church I open up Instagram, and they kind of share now. Besides posts, they also open up like little threads,
Yeah.
right, bro.
Ridiculous.
No, but funny enough, yeah, I don't. Threads is a whole different whatever.
Dude, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
But basically, I saw on the threads something on my favor. Like, all I kept saying was porn is evil, porn is evil, porn is evil, porn is evil. And I was like, that's funny, because today's guest is gonna. It's literally we're like what we're talking about right after church. Everything is just like okay, whatever. That's maybe algorithm, maybe God. We will put that to the side, but
I think God works through the algorithms.
yeah, there we go. It's 2-in-1. But yeah, man, and I feel, and I was actually talking to my boy that he's here in the studio too, that funny enough, I feel, and this is probably good news to our generation, not unfortunately Gen Z, because I do feel that that's where it's affecting it the most, especially because again we were kind of, like you mentioned, we were exposed to it at a very early age. You said 8 years old. For me, dude, I'm pretty sure the first video I saw that was like crazy was 2 girls in 1 cup, and that was horrible.
That was a traumatizing video for everyone who ever got the chance to watch.
I don't even
Please
know.
don't watch that video.
Yeah. I'm gonna put a advisory.
Just please.
I don't even know why I mentioned it, but whatever. But point is, I'll beep it out. But
I mean, yeah, bro. Kids are just curious, and we're.
And funny enough, I don't think I registered it as it being traumatic. At that moment, it was just so much because it was obviously you're seeing 2 women naked, but then you're also seeing this thing where you're like, this has been bad my whole life, and they're doing things. You know what I mean? So that was crazy. Obviously, after that, your mind kind of becomes a little more open to like, oh, I already saw that, and then boys being boys start showing this. Dude, did you see this? Then you start exploring on your own.
Yeah.
So
and
yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, just interject. You said something, man. That's like, oh, I already saw like, okay, I already saw that image, right? And just like, oh, so maybe like if I see something else, it won't hurt, or maybe if I see something else, it won't hurt, and that snowballs to the point where it's just like, dude, you're 10 years old and you already know like all of these things, like your innocence gone.
Yep.
Right. And I think about like that's the boys, I haven't really like dug deep into how that affects women, right? Only just scratch the surface on that. Yeah. But I imagine it's just as bad, if not maybe even worse.
Yeah. I do feel. I mean, I don't know the statistics. Maybe you'll know more than me, but I'm sure that men unfortunately consume porn a lot more than women do. So yeah, it definitely is a good question on how that that could affect other women. But yeah, man, and just to kind of finish off what I was saying there, it definitely is a snowball effect. I feel that it was definitely something that growing up you don't understand it. It's just that because again, the cliche saying that you are the sum of the 5 people that you hang out with, and all of a sudden middle school, high school is like consisting of just that. And it's like, oh, dude, did you see that video with blah, 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 blah? And then you're like, oh, no, what? Send me the link. Dude, it becomes just this normal thing. And then even seeing myself, dude, and like in a third-person perspective, retrospectively, seeing myself in a position like that, I'm just like, dude, this is bad. You're just like draining. Mind just transed into that moment. And wow, yeah, it's crazy. So what I was trying to get to earlier, hopefully I didn't forget, but since it doesn't affect our Generation Z that much, but the good news is I feel that a lot of people, religious or not, have been kind of noticing that porn is definitely not something that should be consumed. I don't think it's enough though. I don't think it's reached a 50% margin yet, or even a 40%. But I do think that it has risen to a point where people are like, yeah, this is not necessary. Unfortunately, maybe also because there's a lot of women that, not even just women and men, have kind of reached into the OnlyFans space. And now that has become more of a mainstream way of watching exclusive content. And it's either you get, hey dude, are you following this chick? Or you mostly get the stigma of, why are you doing OnlyFans? Right? And this is not for me to judge anybody that does it, you know? Everybody does what they have to do. But I know that has definitely, in my opinion, I've seen externally from my friends and people that I associate with, that they see it in a bad stigma to a point where, dude, porn is evil or porn is bad, right? So definitely I feel that that's good news in some sort of sense, because it helps a lot of people in their mental. And yeah, I don't know what you think.
Yeah. I mean, the word evil is always like the connotations to that are interesting, right? Because kind of what I understand, my myopic view of like the world and how I see things.
Yeah.
Porn is definitely one of those things that's like, all right, if we're gonna take it into like a religious sense, right? Like the fallen angel, at some point he was an angel, right? At some point, like he wanted to do good. He just like just went another route. Somebody even said to me, not said to me, he said in a podcast, I think his name is Paul Chek. He's like, the devil loved God so much that he would be willing to oppose himself to him, to hold that polarity, so that the world can be like dual, so there can be the good and the bad, right? Just a balance of things.
Yeah. Okay.
So I actually saw an interview, a documentary, and I actually made a video about it. I'll be posting it probably later this week. Where they were actually following around an OnlyFans girl. Like they were following around the porn addicts, this OnlyFans girl, and a male porn star. So 3 people.
Okay.
And interestingly enough, the irony of the situation, they're interviewing the OnlyFans girl or the webcam girl, and she's saying like it gets pretty lonely being an OnlyFans girl, because it's like, you know, people only see me for that. Like people want to know me for that, and every time I have an interaction, it's always like this. Like there's always a sexual proclivity to any conversation, to any type of interaction. It's like, all right, am I gonna get something out of this? Yeah. And her being who she is, it's like, well, that's who I am. She's identified with that now. She's gonna offer something, right?
Yeah.
Interestingly enough, she says, you know, I get lonely. And so the porn addict is also like seeking comfort, you know, like maybe dealing with something in his life. He feels lonely, and so he seeks out the webcam girl. And so like it's like a misery loves company thing, right? These 2 lonely people meet somewhere in the middle. Where they meet is maybe not agreeable, right? Because I mean we're involving things that are like just
societally
that nature, right?
Yeah.
But when we think about like just porn in general, dude, prostitution has been around since like the beginnings of time. So it's always been there. It's always been at the forefront. I mean, when you're talking about the ancient Greeks and the Egyptians and like all of these like ancient civilizations, there's always been some sort of like, whenever there's established civilizations, there's always been prostitution and poverty and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So it's just unfortunate the way that it happens. I think it's extremely detrimental. You know, I think most importantly, what it does to people is that when people decide to have a relationship, when people decide to be in like a healthy relationship, if they're able to find one, they have so many misconstrued ideas to what intimacy and what sex really means, right? As I told you, the default mode for men is like, all right, when we're gonna have sex, how much pleasure can I give you? You know, what position? Like, are you gonna scream? Are you gonna like orgasm? Are you gonna do like the whole theatrics? Am I gonna just dominate my partner and do this whole like recreating this scene?
one common question that I'm not sure if clients have shared with you, but the common question that I had a lot of the times when I would be doing it would be like, so did you finish? And if, dude, and I know that the answer may be yes or no, but I don't think I ever won mentally, because if she said no, detrimental. If she said yes, she's lying. I would never feel like, that was the case.
Satisfied.
Yeah, because I was like, nah. Because then I kind of, like overthought the process, overthought the work that I did, and whatever. But yeah, I just wanted to interject that because I feel like that's one of the common things that I personally would say, and I don't know, I'm not sure if clients say that a lot, but yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, and I think we still exhibit those patterns till today because it's just very ingrained in us. Hey, like, did I satisfy you?
Correct.
Just that it's not even like did you finish?
Yeah.
Was I able to satisfy you?
Yeah.
And as men, yeah, I think it's ingrained, embedded into our genetics, like in our DNA, for us to be providers. So was I able to provide for you? That's essentially what we're asking, like, and when the person says yes or when the person says no, it's like, okay, all right, for example, like, okay, did you finish? Yeah, all right, how many times did you finish? Oh, maybe just one time. It's like, oh, I didn't make her finish like 2 or 3 times. Dude, or 4 times. You're like,
you're hitting home. You're hitting home.
These ideas.
Lower your voice. I'm kidding.
No. Dude, bro, very, very, very understandable. Like these are understandable questions, and they're things that men have a hard time talking about because it's like, man, I've had conversations with my friends where it's like, yeah, I made her finish like 3, 4 times, and in my head I'm just like, like how'd you do that? And it's just like, wait, are you lying to me? Are you sure that that's what actually happened, or did she, So again, like the competitive nature of like, can you make her do this? And especially comparing yourself, one thing that we do, and it's a very unconscious thing. And what I mean by unconscious is you're not aware that you're doing it. Just like we do so many things unconsciously. Like we speak unconsciously. We have postures unconsciously. We eat unconsciously. We drink unconsciously. So many things, right? One of the things that we do, we compare ourselves.
Yeah.
What I saw online, like this guy was able to do it like this and that, and I wasn't able to do it. Or maybe like my friend tells me he was able to do it. Like, all right, how do I do it like that? It's just like, all right, you're moving, in my opinion, we're moving very far away from what it actually means. And I'm studying something at the moment that's not telling me, it's ancient scripture. It's basically saying like orgasm isn't the goal of sex, like for male or female. And when you think about that for a moment, like even that as a possibility, I remember I was talking to my friend about this and he was like, wait, what?
Yeah.
Wait, what do you mean? Wait, what do you mean? It's like, yeah, I mean like orgasm, like we're not trying to reach that. He's like, no, wait, hold on. But that's like the point of it. Well, I'm not saying it's not the point of it. We all have our perspectives. But what this is presenting at the moment is saying like, hey, there's much more to what we think about what sex is, right? And then this kind of goes into something deeper that's just like, it's no secret. The more a man ejaculates, the weaker he becomes.
Okay.
So if we live in a world, and personally, I think the world is completely upside down, completely upside down. And I think we live in a world that romanticizes, like, especially pornography. Like, what's like the most glorious scene? When the guy's finishing and he's doing it like in some like obviously grotesque way, like some
correct, yeah,
and that's like the most glorified scene of pornography, like the finishing aspect, whether it be male or female. And so we copy that. And then obviously you want to talk about just like I mean, there's not really that much scientific evidence around it, but again, it's just empirical. Like try it for yourself, masturbate 3 times a day and see how you feel at the end of the day.
Yep.
You're going to feel like absolute garbage.
Yep.
Garbage. Compared to if you were to hold out for a few days, just compare yourself. Like, hey, do I feel more energized? Do I feel more mental clarity? Do I feel more capacity to pay attention? Like, is my attention span widening just a little bit, right?
There's so many,
So many things to take into
so
account.
many benefits. Wow, bro,
Yeah,
that's
man.
holy crap. Yeah, that's no. I mean, dude, I relate it to everything. Um, and I guess I want to make it clear because I know that I mentioned like the word evil and stuff like that, but I'm really just paraphrasing. Um, I don't like to use that word very often because I don't know how to really, like, again, evil is very, I would say, subjective in
Mm.
to a, in different ways. Obviously there are objectively things that are just within itself
Yeah, we
evil.
could agree on.
That yeah, that doesn't even have to be talked about. But yeah, obviously I'm paraphrasing just because there's a lot of people that mention it in that way, and obviously from what the example that you mentioned earlier, I wanted to bring it up. This is not for my personal case, but this is just my curiosity. Since you approach therapy in a certain way, one of the questions I have is how do you approach maybe a client that is their approach to masturbation or their approach to their sex life is restricted in a religious way. Maybe the way that they approach life religiously affects them and they come to you, I don't know, looking for an answer. I don't even know how to ask it, but I'm sure that you know what I mean, but I don't know.
You know,
How do you approach them?
and not for nothing, I recently had a client like that where
Okay.
it was that same thing where this person's upbringing was like very, very religious to the point where, and this happens a lot, right? Where you're shamed
Okay.
for even thinking about it, or like you can't touch yourself, you can't, you know, excuse me. It's like okay, well, I have a human body, and in a child's mind, I have a human body. Do I not explore it?
Yeah.
That brings its own chain of problems as you grow.
Yeah.
Like in your adolescent years, like when you hit puberty, it's like, all right, well, what's going on to me now? And when you're a young adult and when you're an adult, like that's very, very, there's a very um detrimental things that come out of that.
Okay.
How would I approach that? It and I'm gonna be quite frank with you, and this is kind of maybe very generalized, but in essence, really is like whatever issue that somebody comes to me with, be it porn addiction, be it their religious upbringing, be it erectile dysfunction, performance anxiety, be it vaping, be it weight loss,
Actually, I
stress,
actually saw the list of things that you have as examples on your website. Yeah.
be it
Yeah.
weight loss, be it phobias, be it trauma, whatever it may be, what stress, anxiety, whatever that may be, that is essentially a symptom. And
Cool.
I'll break that down.
Okay.
That is a symptom. I smoke. I feel anxious when I have sex. I have erectile dysfunction. I have difficulty losing weight. I can't manage my stress. I can't manage my anger. Whatever that may be, symptoms. Something inside of me, meaning some belief, some emotion, some association I made when I was younger, or maybe some association I made when I was in my teenage or adolescent or my adult years, something, some perspective about myself or about what I've learned is causing me to exhibit some pattern. It's causing me to exhibit some symptom.
Wow. Yeah.
So this is what differs a lot from a lot of traditional therapies where people are just like, they just have this talk, this conversation. It's like and it's gonna sound I'm looking for the word here, like maybe insincere or apathetic, but it's really not. Like it doesn't necessarily matter. It does not matter. I can care less about the symptom. If I focus on the symptom, I'm resolving the band-aid. And then we're gonna put another one on top of it.
That's a very
And then
good.
we're gonna take that one off, and then I'm gonna put another. I'm worried about what's causing, like, why are you wounding yourself?
Correct.
Once we get to that understanding, resolve the association, resolve the belief. Maybe I wasn't good enough. Maybe I was seeking approval. Maybe I was seeking attention. Maybe somebody told me something and I feel ugly about myself. Maybe I feel ashamed or I feel guilty or I feel fear.
Wow. Yeah.
Once I resolve that, once that gets resolved, which I don't resolve, I simply put attention on the problem so that my client realizes, oh God, this is what I've been doing to myself.
There you go.
And then the question obviously after that is like, do you want to live like that? No, I don't. Okay, great. Can we do something different about it? Yeah, we can. What can we do? this, and that. You come up with your own conclusions. You come up with your own answers. You come up with your own ideas, your
Yeah.
own realizations.
Wow.
Once you do that, the problem changes. The symptom essentially disappears.
Correct.
So, and to kind of think of it in like a subconscious, like what's happening in the mind, that part of the mind that was feeling not good enough, that was feeling ugly about itself, that was feeling ashamed or fear,
Yeah.
that part of the mind, it's almost gets extracted, and in that extraction, and I'm kind of just drawing in like a visual here, that extraction
Yeah.
just dissipates, and then that part of the mind, there's an empty spot there, and we fill this empty spot with something positive.
There we go.
In the sense of somebody who had really bad poor masturbation habits, we fill it with healthy masturbation habits. And somebody who maybe felt that they had this religious upbringing where it was shameful and like not acceptable, well, we fill it with like compassion and empathy for oneself and gentleness, and it's like, you know, we're just filling the gap in
that's wow.
of essentially what's happening for the person.
That's a great view, dude. I think, because I think I've approached situations like that very small amount of times, because it's not, like you said, it's really not ingrained. That's why you are good at what you do, and that's why you have the business that you have, is because people don't do that. I think people really do rely on the symptoms, like you said, because at the end of the day, it's true. Why is it that you're doing that? It's not that is that is the issue. It's that you're doing this because why, right? And that's awesome, because I feel like that really helps people. Like, it's not even just coming to you and then, hey dude, Austin, you resolved my issue, thank you. I'm pretty sure at the end of it, you're like, I just literally helped you kind of get the magnifying glass. You're like, dude, it's here. And then they did it for themselves. But sometimes, again, it's hard, because I know that for sure if I had an issue or a problem, which I'm sure I do, that will be not on a podcast. But yeah.
Which is the importance of one of the first things we mentioned when we got on, which is the importance of having a third party.
Mm-hmm.
The importance of having another set of eyes, a different perspective. We're blind to what we're doing, and that happens to the best. I myself am guilty of this. Like, sometimes, like when I make a decision, I unconsciously seek for maybe a difference, like maybe a different set of eyes. Like, maybe I say something that, you know, kind of hints at like, hey, I'm thinking about something, like, can you maybe point me out to maybe the right direction? So that's good in some sense. And again, I also want to piggyback on this idea. So imagine using pure willpower and sheer like determination to resolve a symptom.
Yeah.
Now you're just worried about a symptom, but what's happening underneath? You're not dealing with what's underneath. That's why determination, the willpower, it works. It does work.
Yeah.
But once you have an understanding of what's causing it.
Wow.
Or another great one that people use, and I think affirmations are great. Like, I think they're a good way to help reprogram and just like show us a different language pattern. Mm-hmm. That allows us to maybe not talk so negatively about ourselves, right?
Mm-hmm.
I am confident, I am this, or I'm grateful, I'm happy. But the problem in only using affirmations on a symptom, once you encounter some obstacle, something that just triggers that, affirmations are gone.
Correct.
So that's why you need to get to the bottom of it. And then once you've kind of understood more or less what's causing that, then you can bring in these affirmations, the determination, the willpower, the habit structure, etc.
Yeah, I'm a big believer in that. Obviously the book, the old book, The Secret, is one that I personally love and associated with, because the first time I read it, my internal dialogue was completely shifted. So whatever it is, I'm a big believer in, like, whatever it is, like, that I think I could relate that thought process of The Secret to focusing on symptoms. Like, with the whole sheer and determination, you put all your mind and power to focus on fixing the symptom, all you're giving it is more attention, and you're never going to reach an understanding of what is it that's causing it. So it's like, perfect, yes, you do need to just head back in there, figure out what is the root of that, what caused that, and then obviously follow up with affirmations, follow up with internal dialogue, follow up with, dude, I'm fine doing this, I am okay, I am healed. If it's financial issues, I am financially good, my money is coming to me, etc. However you want to approach, obviously, that sort of perspective. But that I got a lot from network marketing. Network marketing, for one, that's definitely something that helped me out, because my mental state before network marketing, I think, was that. It was kind of the issue of complain about everything, or just complain about things in general, say a lot of negativity, without realizing that every wire that's in your brain, it's like, this used to be good, but now you take it out and whatever's negative, that's the new connection. So now that's the first thing that comes up. It's not the second output. That's a whole different, conversation, but yeah.
It's much easier to be negative about yourself than it is to be positive about yourself. Like, there's way more things to beat yourself up about than there is to, like, uplift you, right? One of my favorite quotes by Seneca, and I'm paraphrasing here because I'm not sure if this is, like, word for word, but he says something along the lines, we suffer more in imagination than we do in reality. Like, that in and of itself just breaks it down to us, to just saying, like,
that is
we torment ourselves. And one of the things that I'm learning, somebody told me the other day, and again, this is like an estimate here, but it says like 90% of our problems, of our symptoms, be it chronic pain, be it like headaches, be it anxiety, sadness, whatever it be that we're going through, vaping, whatever it be that we're going through, 90% of that is caused by something emotional.
Wow.
So when you put it into that perspective, maybe it's more than that, maybe it's less than that, I don't know. But from my understanding, there's always, you will always find an emotional component to whatever it is that you're going through.
Yep.
Whatever it is that you're going through.
I relate. You caught me with that one, because funny enough, and I don't want to make this religious, it's just that I share it from my perspective just because that's how I grew. But there's a lot of similarities anyway. But the last two notes that I have here from today's church session was, the perception of future pain is sometimes worse than the reality of the pain. And that's really it. It's really like, sometimes you overthinking this certain situation or dwelling on this situation, you're killing yourself to the point where it's like, bro, when you go through that or what you're living through, it's not going to be that bad. Now, obviously, there's nuance to this. There's different situations, different perspectives that I don't want to diminish somebody's real reality of pain and etc. But you know where I'm getting to. And I think the last note after that was, oh no, I thought I wrote that. Never mind. But okay, but yeah, basically, I connect a lot with that. I think that was perfectly well said. I actually don't know how much time we've been recording for. How can you see how much it's been there? Without touching anything, actually.
I don't know if I can, actually.
Oh, no. Okay, no, it's been an hour and a minute. A little bit less than that, because I know that we started a little bit after that. Okay, so we can start finalizing, but let me see. I think I had another question, which I think you answered. I'm going to be honest with you, because you generalized it. One of the questions was, what would be most important, and maybe repetitive advice that you give your clients more often. But I think that was it, without taking too much or too less out of it. I think generalizing it to the point where what you're going through, usually the problems that come to you are usually symptoms, and the problem at the end of the day is something internal, rooted from something in the past, something emotionally, and I think that's beautifully said. I had a question. Dude, you don't have to share it, because I work in the medical field, so HIPAA. I don't know if HIPAA works the same way here. You don't have to tell me who or what, but I put this case that required a lot of sessions, or maybe something that shocked you or was different. Maybe you're like, oh snap, maybe this is something I have to maybe learn a little bit more of. That's if you want to share, you could do that. But
yeah, I mean, one of the things I love about what I do is that there's always something that's going to humble you, right?
Oh,
There's always something. There's always something that's gonna be like, well, maybe this is out of my scope of understanding. Um, I can think of two people on the top of my head. Somebody who just like it was more than just something emotional. Like this person just had difficulties with like testosterone. He was very sick when he was younger, and um, he was one of the people that had gone to a urologist and they were dismissive about it, and like gone to different therapies and they were dismissive about it. And so I was one of the last resorts for him. Not again. That's why I say that there's also a percentage of people that it's just there is an emotional factor to it, but maybe there's something deeper that's going on. Like maybe there's something physically, like something hormonal or biologically that's going on with us that
yeah.
requires us to maybe get tested, right? Maybe get testosterone replacement if that's what's necessary. Get more exercise. There's certain situations, and then another one that comes to mind is someone who just wasn't ready to look at those things, like wasn't ready to look at those wounds, wasn't ready to look at those emotions.
Wow. Okay.
And the session ended pretty intensely, right? Where it was like, okay, like I don't know if I want to work with you anymore, and I completely respect that, and I'm never pushing, but you get to the point in the session where it's like, all right, we're here. Are you willing to look at that?
Yeah.
And maybe that should have been something I could have done on my end to see if like, is this person ready?
That's
But
gonna make you reflect a bit, yeah.
you never know until you're in the heat of it, right? You never really
Correct.
know until you're in the heat of it. So yeah, man, I'm always very careful, respectful of like my scope of understanding. Working with men who have sexual issues, I always say like, is it diagnosed? If it's diagnosed, I need a referral, just for like just for just for legal issues. Like
Yeah.
I can't work off you if there's no medical referral. So
That makes sense. Yeah.
there's always that. Yeah,
Well,
definitely.
wow, bro. I didn't even think of that being a possibility, and you're right. It's people enter a very vulnerable state, and I don't think to be honest, it may be even weirder to not have that many encounters or have that many experiences, because I feel, again, many people aren't used to being that vulnerable because it may be a big issue in their life. So it's like, I guess I could understand maybe where that is coming from. Not that it's a proper reaction. But yeah, bro, I feel that makes you reflect.
There's a quote that somebody, and it was by I think somebody had like made it on Facebook, and they made this like nice Canva template and they just posted it. It didn't have like didn't have somebody that it was crediting, but it said sometimes nobody tells you this, but sometimes healing hurts more than the wound. And I was like, that resonates so much to soul that it just reminds me of that person. Like, yeah, that's what it is sometimes. Sometimes having to deal with that is much more painful, like having to heal from that. It's easier living with the symptom than it is healing the symptom.
Even dumbing it down more, that I could remember just you saying that, me getting hurt from riding on a bike, it hurt like hell. But putting on that alcohol to heal it is the worst. So I'm gonna just put it in that way because my brain likes to simplify it. And
Very practical for sure. And that makes that makes perfect sense for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, think about if somebody broke a bone and you didn't have anesthesia and you had to get surgery. Like you have to be sedated for those things. If not, you would be like, hey, you know what? I'll live with my femur snapped in half, or like. Just did different things like that. So,
bro, we're running out of time, but it was such an honor, dude, to have you. Hold up, I'm gonna plug you real quick. I'll have my editor do that. But, Austin, bro, first and foremost, it was an honor. I think it's been a long time that we even spoke or saw each other. Once I saw you on Facebook, I was like, oh man, followed immediately, and then I saw what content you were doing. I was like, oh, this is interesting because I've never seen that. So guys, that's the podcast for today with Austin Salas. I'm gonna actually add his Instagram right here. It's Austinsalas.thog, and then we're also gonna link up his websites, the Heart of Gnosis. That's how you would pronounce it. Nice. His YouTube and his website's all going to be there. It's going to be a link tree. And I invite you guys that if you guys resonated or related to anything like that, hit him up. Obviously, as you can see, he is a very sensual, very modest, and very welcoming guy, personally. And bro, I hope to have more conversations in the future, not just podcasts, just interpersonally, and it was an honor, bro. I appreciate you, man.
Oh man, thank you so much for having me and just allowing us like the platform to even share our ideas, man. This is very special what you're doing here, and I wish you the best on your journey and developing this and seeing how far you can go with it for sure.
Bro, blessings for both of us. I appreciate it, bro. Thank you.
Man.